when clients come to us, they're saying, communication, and they've seen counselors before. And look, we do work on the tools. I mean, we work on communication tool, conflict and resolution. But the depth of knowledge that we're going to bring to clients now, and just makes sense, right? It's about connection. It's about releasing that resentment, and that's the real difference. So look, let me share this with you.
Okay.
So this has been the big difference I've noticed, right? A lot of therapy is just about connection on one level. And after speaking to you over many years, it's just not a simple thing, right? It's about your vibrational energy, it's
Yes.
about your character, and also about the stage you're in at the relationship as well. Obviously, when you start, you're in that romance stage, and connection just flows naturally. So people can communicate, right? People can connect, but the fizz goes out, like you're saying, right?
Yeah.
Life catches up with them. And look, what we're going to present, of working with you, helping couples, is to take it to the next level. And
Yes.
it's so important, right? I mean, divorce rates are high, separation is increasing, and the kids are suffering. I mean, that's the reality of it.
Heartbreaking. There's no
And
doubt these stats are getting worse. And, there's all kinds of economic things going on and political things and stresses people out because we're just human. Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
so in the workshops, we did so many in Sydney, and it's so popular, sometimes 50 people, average 20, 30 people, all working together. They came in as strangers. At the end of it, they were almost like best friends. I mean,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
that was
That's
the
beautiful.
pinnacle of connection. Even introverts were coming in there. I don't know what's a workshop. I've never done a workshop, but at the end of it, the transformation just in one day was amazing. And look, a lot of it was around vibrational energy. Can you just
Yes.
let our clients know a bit about vibrational energy?
Yes. Okay, great. Um, I had friends who were very interested in meditation and yoga, and they did, acupuncture or acupressure, that comes from the Far East. And, it's very, very different than if you go to a massage therapist or, physio or, that kind of thing. The vocabulary is very different. But because I had the absolute pleasure and privilege of meeting Dr. Pirakos, he explained to me about this vibrational energy. And in the West, it's measured. So there's a sort of this analytical demand that the Western culture has, including Australia, is that we have to measure it. And in the Far East, as they call it chi or pranic healing, and it's just as valid. But the West has their own vocabulary now.
Got you.
So what the East has been telling us for centuries, the West says, "Oh, it's true now because we measured it." Kind of hilarious in a way. So that's the arrogance of we Westerners. So, but I had the privilege of meeting Dr. Pirakos, who said that the unconscious mind is in the body and the surrounding energy field. And Dr. Pirakos is my mentor's teacher, um, Wilhelm Reich, the Austrian psychiatrist also. He took over for Freud. When Freud was dying of throat cancer at the end of the 19th century, 25-year-old Wilhelm Reich took over. And Freud said before he passed that in the 20th century, psychology and biology would be one. And he's actually right. Now, this has been stuffed down a great deal, Sha, because the pharmaceutical companies want you to think that solution to life's problems is a script. And there are times when scripts are necessary. I'm not anti-West, or the wonderful things that you go to the dentist and you need Novocaine before you have your tooth pulled. All that is brilliant. I'm just saying, times with psychological problems, it's overdone. And then what happens is it numbs people out and they can't feel as much. They might not be quite as anxious. They might not be quite as depressed, but their interperson connection becomes invisible and they feel numb. So what I have done, and I feel very proud of it, I've gotten so many of my clients in America and Australia and New Zealand, and the UK off of Prozac and different things. I don't do it foolishly. I do it very, one layer at a time. And I often would talk to the psychiatrist if they would consider what I was saying. And some of them are open. Yeah, whatever you do, gradually go off the meds if the person is feeling better. So that's what I did, and I'm really proud of that. And so I've been able to work with East and West and integrate. But I also had the privilege of meeting Dr. Valerie Hunt. Dr. Parakos introduced me to her. And she won prizes for her medical insights as a scientist. And she worked at UCLA, and the graduates of UCLA funded her millions of dollars to travel all over the Far East, India, China, all over, and study with these masters of energy medicine over there. Then she would come back and learn, because she was a scientist, she created machines that could measure the aura. It was called an orometer. And she could measure the strength of the aura and the chakras, the centers. Of course, you're an expert on this stuff. And I met her, and we had conversations back and forth. I told her what I was doing in groups. She thought it was very exciting. And I said, I'm mentored by Dr. Parakos. And the funny thing is, John was in he was in his early 70s when I met him, and she was 80. And she goes, "How is that young man doing?" So I thought it was hilarious that she referred to John, my mentor, as how is this young man doing? Gotcha. And I was shocked because she was 80 when I met her. I was only 40. And I thought, well, she might be, mid 60s. I don't know. And then she shared with me she was 80 years old. I almost fell off the chair. And she says, "Oh, I look younger." Yeah, because I've worked out how to get my energy to flow. And she goes, and also I can measure it. But she goes, I couldn't have done it without the contributions, because I've had so many different experts, like Barbara Brennan, who wrote Hands of Light, and she was a student of Dr. Parakos like myself. And it's just been so exciting, Sha, that I stand on the shoulders of these wonderful scientists and psychiatrists, that I was able to learn this stuff. And of course, what you do over the years is you make it your own. So that's how this chart looks here that you've just put up, the wholehearted expansion. So interesting. What I want to share with you is, because when I made this chart, I would have lots of people look at it who in business were very successful. They're in a committed relationship, but they felt that something was missing. And guess what they all said to me? I shouldn't say all, most said to me, "Oh my God, I looked at my chart. I'm between a 5 and a 6. And I'm breaking through, but I always slip back down. I'm impatient with my kids. I'm impatient with my husband or my wife or my girlfriend, boyfriend, partner, whatever you call it. And God, I've worked so hard. I've done so many courses, NLP, and I've gone to yoga classes, and I should be 10 out of 10. Rob, what is wrong with me?" And I say, well, the good news is I'm gonna get you to expand to a 10, because I've synthesized the best of mainstream and alternative, and it actually works. They are congruent, Shaw. They can work out, and you can work in congruence with a psychiatrist or a doctor if they're willing to. Some are, and some are not. And help this person find the best solution for them. It's never black and white. Everyone is different. But I love working with partners in relationships because I want to bring the fire back.
Got you.
That brought them together. And you can't do it if you're falling down on this scale. And we're just human. And life is tough. And over time, we tend to fall down on this scale. And we end up in a relationship or a business. We're so burnt out. We're so exhausted. We're trying to take care of the kids and keep the relationship alive. Or then there's stress at the office. And we feel half-hearted. we feel broken. Even brilliant people with advanced degrees and, technology or business, finance, you've seen them all. You've worked with them all, Sha. People with multi-million dollar businesses, and the business is just plateauing because of the economy, competition. So life is tough, and we all need support. But what you and I are offering is very, very different.
It is different because really the training you've had, um, you wouldn't get that from your local therapist, right? I mean, someone who's dedicated most part of their life to therapy, who's been in full-time therapy for over 30 years, doing therapy for over 30 years with clients. um that's been your passion, right? I mean,
It is, yeah.
at the end of the day, reality is people just haven't got the knowledge, right? There's a certain amount of information that people are accessing, but it's not to the level that you spent your whole life going through. And
Yeah.
the beauty of it is we can now condense it, because you've done all the hard work for us. You don't have to spend 30 years. You don't have to invest
Good point.
hundreds of thousands
Very
of
good
dollars.
point.
Look, spent, maybe 100, 200,000. I can just imagine, the amount of money you've spent connecting on these courses. You've always
Yeah.
kept up to date with the latest processes, even though had a solid background. You just kept updating it and showed in the workshops. Um, at the start of it, that they were excellent, but towards the end, they kept on going into the latest information, and that's
Yeah.
really what we can do in a more condensed manner. Because look, at the end of the day, couples there, they want a quick solution, right? They want a rapid,
Seriously,
quick solution.
absolutely, Shaw. I don't want to drag people through the mud. If they're committed, we can turn the marriage around or the relationship, or whatever you call it these days. Call it whatever you want. This connection, we can clean this stuff up in a relatively short period of time, and that's what I want to do. I left corporate, very successful career, because I wanted to help people. At Hughes Aircraft, we were making military equipment. I said, I can't live like this. And I was good at that leadership, but I want to help people have a fuller life in their relationship with self, and to have a wonderful partner, whether it's your business partner, or your lover, whatever you call that. I left in 1990. So I would like to save people decades of trying to find the answer and just go right to the point.